Our first wheelchair presentation was at the Emir's Palace of Khazari in the far north of Jigawa State. May is one of the hottest months of the year in this semi-desert area, and was 104 degrees that morning. Because it was a 7 or 8 hour drive, we had stayed overnight on the way at a nice guest house of a former governor. Unfortunately, lightning had struck the generator and it wasn't putting out enough power to run the air conditioning. There were no fans. I don't think it got under 100 degrees all night in that building. All night I felt like the rich man in Jesus' story, suffering in torment in hell, calling, "Father Abraham, have pity on me and send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water to cool my tongue, because I'm in agony in this fire." When visiting an emir's palace, it is protocol that a chief wear his turban and heavy robe, so one of the palace staff redid my turban. I'm sure you have never done this on a white man before.
Yes.
They say I may be the only white chief in Nigeria.
Yes.
One of the first things I tried to do is greet every disabled person who has come for a wheelchair. They are the lowest of the low in this culture, and I want to honor them, and also send a message to the big people under the VIP canopy that these disabled people are important and that they are our special guests.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Girma ɗan majalisar sarki da hakimai masu ƙasa daga da masu unguwanni, ɗan uwana mabukata na musamman, masu na kasa musamman masu na kasa ta hukunta sauran to kuma da yadda jawabi ya gabata za mu fara gode Allah subhanahu turke gufwan kara ya gani a jarida ga dan uwansa mai to dangantaka ta da su ta sa ni ma nake tunanin komai da ai da naka nakan jawo hankalinsu idan sun zo za su raba to muna da guri kaza a jihar Jigawa, muna da guri kaza ba wancan da aka yi na karkashin gwamnati.
Nigeria is my second home. I have traveled in 33 of Nigeria's 36 states.
Nigeria ta gidansa na biyu, ina faɗa da yin wani da ba sa ji. Nigeria ta gidansa na biyu idan ka ɗauki America a yadda ya ɗauka shekara 23 yana zuwa ƙasashen duniya.
Our organization is known as Beautiful Gate Handicapped People Center. This name comes from the Bible. I'm a Christian pastor, and there's a story in the Bible that I want to tell you, a short story. Peter and John were going to the temple to pray, and they were going to the gate of the temple in Jerusalem called Beautiful. And there was a crippled beggar at the gate of the temple called Beautiful, and he held out his hand wanting money from Peter and John. Now Peter said, "I have no money, but I will give you what I have. In the name of Jesus Christ, stand up and walk." This man who had never walked in his life, he jumped to his feet and he ran into the temple praising God because now he could walk, now he was healed. Now we cannot do what Peter did, but we are doing the next best thing. We are trying to give mobility to all of these who cannot walk. So these wheelchairs, the money for these wheelchairs are given by people in my church in America and other churches, and we give them in the love of Jesus. We give them to both Muslims and to Christians because Jesus has taught us to care for the poor and the crippled and the blind. You know, the only president in the history of the United States who was elected 4 times was Franklin Roosevelt. He was president during the Second World War, a critical time in world history. And President Roosevelt had polio, and he ruled America from a wheelchair. Imagine the President of America, President of the United States, sat in a wheelchair all the years he was president, and he ruled America from a wheelchair. So I challenge each one of you who are disabled that I want you young ones, to go to school and get an education. You adults, if you're too old for school, find some employment or an apprenticeship. We hope that these wheelchairs will make you self-sufficient and able to go to school and have a good life. We gave out 80 wheelchairs that morning, but there were another 30 who came hoping to get one and had to go home empty-handed.
Kina zuwa makaranta Allah sa to amin to good
akwai hadara abdulmumin
smile.
ita ma da gudanar
kowa ya zauna da kira kira
na rahame
a ke gudanar sun gari
a tsaka ta alƙewa a cikin mutane to shi ke nan bayan an yi zaɓin goriya a ba wannan usman
Ni ne wannan, bari a samu babbakin.
to shi ke nan to shi ke nan
Our next presentation was at a community center at Gummel, very close to Nigeria's northern border. We gave out 65 wheelchairs here.
to me suna to kaga wannan shi ya gamsu cewa zai wani amma duk wanda ya gina ba hannu sha Yaha Hussein ya ina okay Khadija Nura tafiya da mafuka mu ga da maza ne ana wa kan ne ha to suna ga da maza
zan yi amfani da wannan dama za mu ba ka wannan aiki
kuma wannan gaba da muke mun samu albishir Adamu wa yana kwano to Allah ya kabar da ta san ko ka san to wa su su sai da Allah bai shi Thank you so much. Ina ne ina ganin azubai wa bismillah. Allah wa bismillah. Sati. Akwai wanya. Wani da wanda ta ba ko? Da musa yi wani? To, abin ba mu yana da musa? Amma yau ne rubuce mutum, ba ka yi hawa ne? Ka yi marmashi ka kalli?
Thank you, Master. Very good.
Belum tak buka haji. Wah, aku. What's tahu? Ini lagi tu?
Lagu.
Tawala.
God bless you.
Kuma ya ma bi kuma rauna nan. Ga foundation. To ai ni ba ka masa asau ku da tiya ki ba. Na.
Afterwards, we paid a courtesy call on the emir, who had declined the invitation to hold the presentation in his palace or to help with the cost of the truck to transport the wheelchairs. He had sent word he was too old to attend the presentation, but he was surprised that I was several years older than he was. Our next presentation was in Babaldu, still in Jigawa State in the far north. We gave out 35 wheelchairs here. This is the town where the chief told Ayuba a year ago that he thought there were only 10 or 12 in his area needing wheelchairs. We have now given out 250 wheelchairs here. This is typical. These disabled people are all hidden away, unable to get any further from their house than they can crawl on their hands and knees. Nobody knows about them. Our last presentation was in the city of Bauchi, about 2 hours northeast of Jos, where we gave out 100 wheelchairs around the outdoor swimming pool of a fancy hotel. The successful candidate for governor of Bauchi State had somehow made connections with the disabled organizations to get their support in his election, and his supporters had organized this event. There were many big people here with lots of speeches. In my speech, which was translated into Hausa by the MC, I turned to the governor-elect's personal representative and made a personal challenge. I said that over the years we've given out over 700 wheelchairs in various locations around Bauchi State. I said when I show my videos of Nigerian polio survivors crawling on the ground, American Christians are very compassionate and donate money for these wheelchairs. I said, does it make much sense that Christians halfway around the world would have to do this for your people? When there's money here, if the new governor would make this a priority? So I challenged the new governor to pay for 1,000 wheelchairs in the first year of his administration. The governor's representative rose to the challenge and promised to fund at least 2,000 and perhaps as many as 3,000 wheelchairs by May 29, 2020, the first anniversary of his inauguration.
He's not only going to take your challenge of 1,000, no. We are going to take the challenge of 2,000 to 3,000 tricycles in Bauchi State for the disabled, inshallah, for the benefit of our people in Bauchi State. I promise you, I promise you, I promise you. Thank you very much.
Ayuba said when this kind of a statement is given 3 times in Islam, it cannot be broken. So, we'll see. We've had similar promises before, which were never carried out. We have rarely had Nigerian help with our wheelchair project, so this was very hopeful. Nigerian culture does not have the same spirit of generosity and compassion like we do in the U.S., and the disabled here are the lowest of the low. God bless you. There you are.
On behalf of the Jos University Student Visual Impaired, we want to thank you very much for the gift of canes. We can't say thank you enough. Our regards to the church over there in US, and the Lord bless them. The Lord bless you and keep you.
Amen.
Even as you go back to the US.
Amen.
Thank you very much, sir.
The wheelchair shop, where our 65 employees are building more than 150 wheelchairs a month. This is the large Kokan Headquarters Church in Jos, the Church of Christ in Nigeria. Many top government officials and other important people attend this church. Our next presentation was at the Emir's Palace in Wase, several hours south of Jos. The town of Wase is in the shadow of Wase Rock, somewhat similar to Devil's Tower in Wyoming, one of only 5 in the world. Being in Emir's Palace, of course I had to have my turban redone. The Emir not only thanked us for the gift of 50 wheelchairs, but gave great praise to Ayuba, as one who set a wonderful example for the disabled of what can be achieved in spite of handicaps. He said he had heard much about Ayuba on the radio over the last few months because of Ayuba's political activities as one of 3 finalists as the candidate of one of the 2 leading political parties for deputy governor of Plateau State, and now had a chance to finally meet him. This man has had one of our wheelchairs for 10 years. He is self-supporting with his own small business selling fruit. He's married with 4 children.
So I tell Almighty God to just guide these people and protect these people and make these people happy, to continue the efforts, give these people long life and prosperity. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm very happy.
So 10 years you have had this wheelchair,
10
is that
years,
right?
10 years I'm using this wheelchair.
And it's still working good?
Yes.
Good.
Of course.
Okay.
The wheelchair is very nice. It's very strong.
Our next presentation was at the Mekang local government area. A local government area is like a small county in the U.S. The chairman was a very unusual government leader. He had great compassion on the disabled. When we gave out wheelchairs here 2.5 years ago, this chairman gave 10,000 naira, about $28, to each beneficiary, something we had never seen before or since. He did the same thing this time. They also announced the winners of a beauty contest, and Ayuba, Sharon, and I were asked to give the scholarships to the winners. The Bible says beauty is fleeting, and but God wants beauty in your heart, and I'm sure that you know that, and that physical beauty will not last your whole life, but inner beauty will last for all of your life. This chairman is obviously loved by the people. This was his birthday, and they honored him with a beautiful cake decorated with the logo of FC Barcelona, his favorite soccer team. I had a serious talk with the chairman afterwards and told him God had obviously done a real work in his heart for him to be so compassionate and generous. And I hoped he would stay in politics and perhaps run for higher office, but keep that honesty and compassion, and not let selfishness and greed take over like so many Nigerian politicians. Our last presentation was in Kanam, or Dengue, in Plateau State, where we also gave out 50 wheelchairs. They're so big and bulky that they are loaded on a truck without the wheels, pedals, and chain. Normally the truck arrives a day or two early, along with 2 of our staff, who assemble the wheels. But in this case, the truck broke down several times, and the driver, not wanting to lose his fee, convinced our 2 staff not to call Ayuba so he would get another truck. They stayed with the truck all night, and it finally arrived just about the same time we did. So we waited several hours while they assembled enough wheelchairs so that we could begin the distribution. All the disabled who had been waiting outside filed into the hall.
Ka zo mana dan bala malam ka dan bada wura wurin da ka sai a ciki a daukan hoto da ka tawo sorry ina ciki ai ina ciki ne mai dauka ba za ka saurare ina ciki inda kai bayani ka ko ga shi nan wannan ba mun yara mu shi da kai su ma gura kun ne a kan su ne su a rin sun to ya ka dauke ta wune ba gara mu step Respected councillors and our friends. We are witnessing